All right. I heard the voice this time, but I can definitely tell it was the girl saying everything's being recorded.
What was that? Oh gosh. This is gonna last 5 seconds.
June bugs. Anyways, hello everybody. Welcome
No.
back to another episode of Paranormal, and we are your hosts. I am Rachel by myself, and we have.
And I'm Kaz, also by myself, but not by myself. Who knows? But I'm by myself.
She's also outside, so if you see her just like randomly
Oh
swatting
my
things,
gosh.
June bugs.
If you hear me screaming a high pitched scream, it is June bugs, 100%. I will take the dead people any day of the week over June bugs.
Yeah, they're pretty. They're pretty
Oh my
awful.
gosh.
They're pretty
They're
awful.
horrible. They're horrible.
Anyways, and summer weather is finally here, and yeah, I know. And we had a weekend of absolutely nothing because we did absolutely nothing, and it was wonderful.
It was really nice. It was really nice.
I know. And this weekend we don't have anything either, which is kind of nice. So it's nice to catch up
No.
with stuff. But
Well, we're finally going over footage from like decades ago and being like,
well,
oh my gosh, we've got really
Ryan
cool
is
stuff.
Ryan is from about a year ago. So, but that's for maybe we'll do an episode with him and his weird footage.
Oh, that will be a long one.
We'll just let him talk. We'll just sit here in silence to let him just continue to talk. But anyways, but that's it for us for an update. But we're just going to head right into this topic because it is something super interesting and something most people won't talk about because it's either it brings up memories or it brings up their own mortality because a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But that is the death care industry and funerals. And we have a wonderful guest tonight. So we have one of our friends, Janet. She is a funeral director. So thank you, Janet, for coming on and being our special guest tonight.
My pleasure.
I know we have a ton of questions, but let's just start with like the obvious one first. So like what made you want to become a funeral director and work in the death care industry?
Oh, Lord, that's a loaded question. So I actually was interested in working in funeral homes when at a very young age, like 13. And I was told that that's for boys. You'll never get a job. So I put it in the back of my mind. And with the other death work that I do, just get an opportunity for, I guess, saw potential and offered for me to do the schooling, and I took it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. See, back in the day, I wanted to be a funeral director, but I never went through with it. I did a whole bunch of other weird things instead. But yeah, that's pretty cool. There is definitely, I will say, not a lot of ladies in this industry.
There is
No.
Yeah, I was going to say now I think
Now.
there is, but back in the
Yeah.
day it was like not.
Yeah.
Not women didn't do that side of things. It was like women were the nurses to help the person pass away, and then it was the men's job to do the other stuff.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I know that I really wanted to get into this industry. And the thing that stopped me was, I think when you think of the industry, you think of grandma passing away peacefully in her sleep, and not so much of the more realities of maybe what comes through the door. But for me, it was children. I was all gung ho. And then, do you remember that show on TLC? I forget what it was called, but it was like a family who ran a funeral home. It was in the States. And it was like the sister was the mortician and the brothers were the ushers people, not ushers. You know what I mean. Anyways, and then it was a really cool show. And then when they did one episode where it was a child's funeral, and I'm like, I'm out. I couldn't keep myself together.
It
do that.
is tough, but you do. I'm not going to say you get used to it because you never get used to that. But as a funeral director, you do get to spend time beforehand to let out all of your emotion and then go on with it. But it's still hard, even when with the family, when they come in and during the funeral, I do still get choked up and tears, and that's okay, but you know.
Mm-hmm. I think it takes a special person in any sort of industry along those lines.
Yeah.
Because anyone that I know, I used to work opposite a funeral home, and some of the people who work there were my clients, and you can just tell they all have that same personality. Because I don't think that just anybody can do that career.
That's true. You do have to have a lot of compassion and patience and understanding, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But there is 2 classes of funeral directors. There's a class 1, which that's what I am, and that is from doing everything from arrangements to the prep work. And then there's a class 2, which is strictly arrangements. So the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you find like most challenging about your class of expertise, we'll say?
Challenge. Well, I mean, that's a good question, because I can, like, I there's a lot of things that are challenging. Like, you can have a grieving family come through, and they're just really upset, and you can't, that kind of challenge. Or then you're prepping a decedent and everything goes wrong, and the family is like, we wanted an open casket. And so there's those. There's so many challenges, but you just kind of have to go with, like, you have to roll with it, not react. And thing is just
Definitely. What is the strangest or most unique thing a family's ever asked with regards to a service or a burial? Or
I did have a family ask me, so they had another family member's remains, so they wanted to put it in the casket. And so, like, you kind of have to be like, well, as long as I don't see it,
right.
I can't do that. But like, hey, can I put so and so next to me?
So I'm assuming that so and so is the ashes of the person.
Yes.
They're not like they didn't have them in their freezer and they're like, okay, 2 for 1.
Yeah.
So how comes once you have the remains of someone, how comes it can't go in the casket with someone else? Is it because it's like one plot, one body?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you would have to, and it also has to be marked, like, on the headstone, or that there's 2 people in there.
Oh, I see. How interesting. I am. Let me take notes. I see. Is that in case they have to exhume one of them? They might be like, well,
Maybe.
if the other one's ash.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. That's a good question for me to research, and caught me off guard.
That's your homework for today, Janet. And I'm the 100-year rule is kaput now, right? Like, when you buy a plot, that's yours forever. Because before it used to be you kind of owned it for a certain amount of time, and if the family didn't continue on, you got kicked out. This was an old
So
thing,
the
but
cemetery part I'm not 100% familiar with, because we have cemetery salespeople, cemetery people. So I just deal with the funeral home part.
Gotcha.
But because where I am is on a cemetery, so I'm learning. I was like, I don't sell plots.
All right. Good to know.
So I have my question that I have is when it comes to like funeral directing, and like the whole death care industry, what do you think is like the biggest misconception about it? Like, what do you think that people, get wrong all the time, or that, there's just misinformation out there about it?
Well, I think that like there's a lot of, I guess, when it comes to the embalming part, you do your loved one. If you're having a visitation, you can do just natural, but on the decedent, how they came into our care, how far out is the service, all of that. You know how some, like, you see it on TV all the time or on TikToks or whatever, people are always like, do the bodies move after? No, they don't. That last breath, that some people say they take it, they take that last breath. Usually that is like when you first get on the scene of bringing a loved one into your care and you move them, it's just gas coming out. That's it. It's not a last breath. It's just that leftover air inside their lungs just move.
It's the body doing what it needs to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of embalming, I know the States, they have some extreme embalming practices where they pose people standing up in vehicles. Do they do that here?
I don't think so.
I was going to say, because I've never once seen a Canadian, sitting at the table with his coffee and his tooth, right? Like, they have these in the States. So I was just wondering if that was something that is done up here, that people have asked to do up here, which I'm sure there's been some really weird requests with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Not from my knowledge, but it is. You really go hard on the chemical for that to happen, right?
Yeah. I was gonna because they don't look naturally posed, really. When you look, I'll post some photos for some people who might not understand what I'm talking about on social media through this week. But like, they do not look natural. They do not look like they were living at all at one point. Like, they're very, it's really weird. Cool, but weird, because so you've embalmed someone, we'll just say, sitting on a motorcycle, because I'm going to post one for that, and you're all bent and you're all hunched over. Like, how, like, are you like stuck that way then? I'm going to assume like you're frozen like that. So like, now when they put you in a casket, are you like posing like straight up? Like, that's my question, right? Like, that's a big question.
It's true. I was going to say the same thing.
Or are you being cremated that way? Like, it just,
I don't know that answer, because I do know that, the stronger the chemical is, the stiffer your body becomes, and then it becomes hard to manipulate into. So I would imagine to have somebody sitting up, you're going to use strong chemicals. So you're going to have to get an oversized casket, because you can't cremate without a casket.
Yeah.
That's another thing that people don't realize. In there, you have to be in a container.
Yeah.
So they have to fit them in there somewhere. So,
yeah.
Huh.
See, it's always been a question in my head, because I was like confused, right?
Yeah.
Like, you've seen the movies where they like try to close the lid and it just pops open, like, So
only in the States do they do things like that.
And I think it's the southern states nonetheless, but floats their boats down there.
Crazy enough.
Rock hard grandma.
Teach their own, I suppose.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. So now I'm just gonna I'm gonna be all over the place. What is the most satisfying part of your job as a funeral director? Like, what do you find is most satisfying about it?
Satisfying.
I thought you said saddest. I was
Oh,
like, all of
that's
it?
fine.
Since you're adjusting, I can adjust because I'm
Oh,
sliding.
yeah. I'm adjusting inside because of the bugs out here, even though I have one of those things on. But, anyways, sorry, continue. Ignore me, continue.
The most satisfying thing would be I like full circle. So full circle is when I go do the transfer, bring the loved one into our care. I do the prep work. I dress, I casket, I do the cosmetics, I do the arrangements, full circle.
Mhm.
That is satisfying because I get to know the family
Mhm.
and I get to know, what they're like and what their loved one was like. So that's what's satisfying for me.
It's kind of like you're starting the job and you take it all the way to the finish line,
Correct. Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Now,
And
I'm assuming you have to take a pretty good esthetician type course because I've seen some not so great beauty jobs, and then I've seen some that are immaculate. So, is that in the training? Is it in your skill set? Is it both?
It's
Or
both.
okay.
Because you do take cosmetics in school, like it's part of the class where we actually do wax work. So we reconstruct a face, all of those things, but also how to airbrush. They teach you how to do apply all of those things, but really it's practice
Mhm.
makes it perfect. Like I don't wear makeup at all, but I can make a lady look stunning.
Right.
Practice.
Are there any times you've had someone come in and you're like, I'm not going to be able to do anywhere like what they're expecting me to do? Just be it either the way the person passed away or the condition of the body, or just in general, they're like, make them look 50 years younger. And you're like, oh,
Always. It happens all of the time. And usually I'm like, I call a friend.
no.
If I can't do it, a lot of people are like, can you make them look skinnier or can you plump up, just crazy things. And there are things that happen to the body, like sometimes your neck kind of swells and that sort of thing. So, I've done cosmetics or I've seen other people do cosmetics and then I've walked in and they're like, no, we want this color. We want to change this and this. And I have to do it with family. That's nothing. But for the most part, it's
Mhm.
you just do the best you can. You look at
Right.
yeah. Yeah. So with families and stuff, they always say that funeral homes is where you'll hear like the most unhinged, interactions with family and stories and stuff. Have you ever experienced like hearing, you don't have to share exactly what, the most unhinged things where it made you think, oh my gosh, what is this family going to do now?
Well, we get a lot of people fighting, like arguing about different things. And I'm going to leave the room for 5 minutes when you're ready for me to come back. I mean, for all,
Yeah.
Tamil, Hindu, Sikh, Catholics, all of it. So you kind of hear it, but you don't really like answer that like just off the cuff. I'm like, I know. You do hear stuff, but
yeah. Huh. Wow.
you also hear lots of life story too.
Yeah.
Some laugh, cry.
Yeah.
So, what about spooky stories. Let's get into it. Has there ever been a time where you're like, whoa, and tell us all about it?
So I am a medium. So I
Mhm.
all kinds of things. But even like when I close myself down before I go into work, because that's not my job. So I close myself down. Sometimes I'll hear shadows or, creaking or whatever. Then I have to remind myself, oh yeah, they're probably around. And then I've had full conversations. Like I always do, like for myself, before I talk to the person what I'm doing, and don't worry, I'll take care of you, and you look stunning now. And if you were to walk by the prep room and you would hear me, you'd think I was that I'm communicating with, and but, yeah.
That's lovely.
All right, let me see. What other questions I have on my sheet of paper here?
I have a good one. So, what was your view on the afterlife sort of before you did this? And has it changed since getting into this industry?
Well, I've always grown up spiritual. I've come from spiritual homes, so um, I think that I wouldn't, for myself, working with a different culture and what I like, oh, and I like just picking from different cultures and like creating. So I think that was kind of like an eye opening for me, because I'm not Catholic. I'm not Christian. I look and like create my own with like all the things that like Hindu and all of that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also learn a lot about cremation. Like before I did this, I just thought it was like you put flame completely different. When people come in to do cremation witnessing, they're like, "Am I going to see?" No, but at the very back of the like, there's a tiny little hole at the very back of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
All right, so what is one thing that you would like to tell our listeners about the death care and funeral planning? Like, what's the one thing that people should know? Whether they want to talk about it or discuss it, or they're just too afraid to even mention it because it brings up their own mortality.
Yeah. I would say it's not for you. It's not taboo. It doesn't mean you're going to pass anytime soon. It's just planning for the future and your family to worry about it. Choose what you want. You get to, create a ceremony that you want, or you can just do, you get burden. Because people don't realize that with grief, your emotion and it's family, even just smaller things, hearing. And also, if you did a pre-plan, you can anywhere. So if you move to BC, you can just transfer your pre-plan in stone. Yeah. I know, just talking about death is important. Even with your culture, getting your children to know that death is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are going to as well.
Agreed. I always say getting a hamster is the best thing to teach your young kids about death because they don't last very long. So it's perfect. Or even a goldfish.
I was going to say, how about a goldfish?
Yeah. But most kids don't really care about fish because you just flush them down the toilet, whatever. But I mean, like, a hamster is like a really good start.
True.
Trust me, I've had plenty of them. But yeah, so yeah, like my kid doesn't even care, really, in all honesty, because he's been brought up with it.
Yeah.
But like for me, I will share that when I was younger, my parents shielded me from death. So when my grandfather passed away, my brother and I were not allowed to go to the funeral. We weren't allowed to go to the wake. We weren't allowed to go to anywhere. We went to our friend's house. And so here I am, you know, in my 40s now with a really weird, like, view on death. For some people, it's really hard. For me, I'm like, it happens. Sad, but whatever, move on, right? And that, I think, is thanks to my parents. I never really got a chance to go out and grieve and experience all that. So when my father-in-law passed away at the beginning of 2020, his entire family's like, how do you handle it? Like, how are you handling it this way? Like, how are you so calm? And I'm like, it's just another part of life. Like, what am I supposed to do? Right. So yeah, I'm a little weird that way, but that's just how it worked.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
But yeah.
It's just a really weird way to look at it, right? Like, I'm just like, oh, death is death, right? Like, but I think a lot of my views on that did come from being shielded from it. So
yeah, or it could be the extreme opposite too, where if you're shielded, you can't handle death, right?
Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people won't even go into a funeral home because there's that fear, right?
Mm-hmm. A
Very
lot
true.
of superstitious.
Yeah.
Not me. I had to walk right in there. Even homes that were used to be funeral homes that are now private homes, I've just walked right in and like, whatever. But yeah, so that's just my view.
Mm-hmm.
A weird view. But then again, you know, we deal with death all the time, technically, with our paranormal stuff. So really, we see the other side of it, where we know that there is something after death, and what that is, well, we're not going to know until we actually get there, and then kind of go from there with that. But you know, it's just another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So
what would you say to someone who's looking to get into this industry? What are the things that maybe you didn't anticipate before, or that you're like, really think about this? Because I would imagine, especially if you do the full 360, there are times where you're on call and death doesn't always wait from 9 to 5. So
yeah, I'm on call right now. So I'm like, please don't ring.
No, you got to take us with you. That's how it works.
Here we go.
Yeah.
to ride along.
Yeah. But not every funeral home has like on-call staff, because there are transfer services out there.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the funeral homes that I worked at, they didn't have on-call staff. So you worked your shift, and if there was a death call in the middle of the night, they would send it to the transfer services.
Mm-hmm.
But the location I'm at now, I'm on call. So 3:00 in the morning, I get up, I get my little suit on, I go out the door, get to the funeral home, which is very creepy at night, by the way, because it's like on a cemetery. It's black. And the water, there's a river behind it. So it's really nice, but when your first time going, you're like,
yeah.
and then you go. Yeah. So those calls. But I think the other thing, like for myself, what I didn't anticipate during the school was the amount of work. Like I didn't realize that I was going to have to know every single blood vessel and every single flippin' bone and muscle, and like I'm like not saving life. They're already gone by the time they get to me, but I had to learn all of that, and I was banging my head against the wall because I'm, in my upper years. So going back to school when you're in your upper years, your brain doesn't work the same.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't anticipate all of that.
How long is the schooling?
It's 2 years.
Okay.
However, they have a pilot program, whereas if you've worked in the funeral home full time for 2 or 3 years, you can fast track, which I was lucky enough to do. So fast track means I started my internship the day I started school, whereas everyone else had to do the schooling, and then at the end they did their internship. So
Right.
I did mine all along. So I did school, I think 6 months before everyone else. There was like a handful of us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I, like way back in the day, and I don't know, this has probably changed, when I was looking into it, I had to have a recommendation from a funeral home in order to get accepted into the program. Is that still how it is?
It's not, I don't think it's a well, you have to, I don't think it's called a recommendation anymore, but you have to do like 40 hours of volunteer work at a funeral home. And then I had to have 3 references to send with my application. And I was lucky. I got accepted right away, but I've heard of other people that had tried 3 or 4 times and they were denied. And then finally they were accepted. So
it seems strange because it doesn't seem like there's a lineup of people wanting to do this work. So you'd think they'd be like, we got one, quick, bring him in.
There's actually more than what you think, but not everybody makes it through the schooling, right? Because it is really tough. Like it is, like, especially if you're a class 1 and you have to do a prep right at school, in front of the teachers, and you have to do 2 of them, I think, if I can remember correctly. So it's not an easy course, and not everybody makes it. And I know people that have like, even in my class that I was in, there was a small handful of people that their funeral home wasn't busy enough, and they had to have X amount of embalmings, and they didn't make it. So they either have to extend their schooling or be like, okay, I'm done.
I think the trouble with sort of your TikTok and Instagram is it kind of gets, I don't know if glamorized is the word, but it covers over from, I think, the actual rawness of what you're doing. Like you're dealing with bodily fluids, and again, it's not, grandma died peacefully. There's going to be times when it's for, I don't know how else to say it, bits of people. If someone's been in the water for a while, they don't come in looking like a mermaid. Like,
no.
And I think that is probably something. People go to school being like, woo, I'm going to do this. And then reality kicks in, and they're like,
you have people change, go, no, I want to be a class 2. I don't want to touch bodies, because you're right. People come in from accidents, and you're piecing people back together, and, water, their body like blows up, and, decomp, the smells, like once you smell death, you will never forget that smell. Yes, there's lots of bodily fluids, there's poop, you have to deal with it all, blood, all of it. You're suited up, you have your PPE on, you have your masks on, you have your little cap on, you have all of those things, but you can still smell it. Yeah. And then it's a mind game, right? Like, don't puke, because you're saying things in your head just to keep yourself
right,
going. Yeah. But then there's people that go into this industry and all they want to do is prep. That's their thing, right?
Might want to keep an eye on those people. We're gonna see them on a true crime documentary later.
Right? Yeah.
Listen, it wouldn't put it past anybody at this point in life.
True, true.
One of those things. One of those things. But yeah.
So would you say burial or cremation? Now that you've seen it, what's your thing? If you have a thing.
It is personal choice, but I prefer cremation. Yeah.
So that blows my mind that I know when my brother-in-law was being cremated, my sister had to buy a casket for it to be set on fire. And I was like, I don't understand this at all. Can't you just go in and cardboard boxy thing?
So
or like parchment paper? I don't know. But I was like, why do you have to buy this expensive coffin for them to burn it? Is that a scam? Tell us, Janet. Tell us the secrets.
You do not have to buy a $10,000 casket. No. You can, like, if you are having a service where there's visitation, that sort of thing, of course you're going to want a fancier casket, but you also can rent a casket. So it's an insert that goes into the fancy casket, and then at cremation they open the bottom and then they pull it out and they put a cardboard lid on top of it.
Well, that's good.
So it's made out of like particle board. And then there are cardboard containers for direct cremation. Usually you have to be under 150 pounds. And then if you're above that, you would go into like a particle board, which is like particle board. Right. So, but you do have to be cremated in something. It's the law. But you don't have to get a fancy one. Like in some cultures and some religions and cultures, they want like the $10,000 casket and they burn it. They fill it with flowers, they fill it with their herbs, all of their things, and then they push it in themselves and it goes. Yeah. So it's really personal choice, but you don't have to. You could, as a funeral director, you have to show all options. You can't just say, you have to buy this one, which is the highest one. You have to show the bottom to the top.
Yeah. Now, we're in an age where people just don't want to be cremated or, buried in the ground. They want to become a tree or they want to become compost. Like, is where you work, do they offer that kind of stuff? Or is that just something that's kind of new and upcoming and it's kind of making its way now?
So they do offer green burial where I work. And it is new. It is up and coming. It is new. Not very many cemeteries offer that, but with green burial, you don't have to, like, it's you can have yourself wrapped in a cloth. You can have yourself in a wicker casket, but you can't have any chemicals in you. You can't those things because it's green, right? Quite nice. It is like very nice.
Have you done one yet?
No. I can't wait though. Yeah. I'm doing all of the research now, and ours will be open in August, I think. So we'll start.
And are you like the first like in the area to offer it, or?
I think so, but I am not 100% sure, but I think so.
As I say, I don't think anything around here offers it. I haven't seen.
I think in Toronto.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe Toronto might be the closest, but not Nashua.
No. Yeah.
But I would imagine you're working on a very, very small time frame if someone wants that then, because decomp happens quite quickly. And so it's not like, well, we'll have the funeral and everything in a few weeks. Like, I guess it's like, go, get them in the ground.
Yeah. You have, I think before decomp actually sets in, depending on what you passed from, right? It's not as fast as, unless it depends on what you pass. And if you have like tissue gas and that sort of thing, but you could do a couple, like within that week for sure. Yeah.
Well, I guess they can still go into the cooling.
Yeah, we have
the freezer. I don't know if that's what it's called.
Cooler. They go into a cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where that slows the process down.
Right.
Yeah, and we put
Wow.
it's like a massage cream on their face, so that, because where decomp is going to happen is like your ears, your nose, like those, your fingertips, those places first.
Mm-hmm. That is exciting, though. I like that idea. I think. I don't know. I'm always all over the place. Do I want to get buried and go into the ground? Do I want to just be dust?
Dust.
I don't know. I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. See, the thing with dust being cremated is that you don't have to buy a spot for yourself. Like anybody can bring you home in an urn, right? Sit you on that until they pass, and then you get shipped around, right? Or you can scatter your remains, right? Like do that too.
I know one of my friends took the remains of his grandparents and put them into a tattoo.
Yeah.
Or
jewelry.
Jewelry, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I know where this question is going because Kaz always asks it.
Which one? Is it the one about the people left behind?
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't even going to ask that, but I will. So the funeral home that I used to work opposite, one of the ladies was telling me she has a filing cabinet of people who were just never claimed. And so I'm wondering if you also have the same at your workplace. And I guess, I mean, in there, I would assume it's the same amount, but I know they keep them for X amount of time. And then they have a specific plot that everyone goes in and is just kind of there on the off chance family comes in. Some just don't have family that ever come in, and their last wishes, they arranged everything before they went. And so then they just hang around. But do you find that happens at your place? Does it happen often?
It happens everywhere. They're called unclaimed bodies. Social services pays for them. And we usually do a burial so that if a family member comes, they can resume a body. You cannot resume, cremated remains, or that's it, right? You can't. But yeah, there's a lot. There's a section in the cemetery for unclaimed.
That doesn't happen with like regular burials, does it? Where the bodies come in and then no one comes to get them, and you're like, what do we do with grandma? I'm assuming it's mostly just cremations.
No, they come in with body too. Like, we bury unclaimed bodies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I like a little speechless. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you've got like a Jane Doe or someone.
So it has to go through the coroner's office first, right? So they can do like dental, or do like try to find out who this person is. And then if it's truly an unclaimed, then we go from there.
Have you ever like worked or have been in a situation where the body is claimed but unclaimed because no one wants to deal with them?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a sad case. Because social services does pay for some if you're like lower income, but also like CPP, the death benefit. So we often will sometimes say, if you don't have the money, we will put it through and you'll just send, like, we will claim the CPP. So the CPP will come into our name, which is up to $2,500. So that covers a good chunk of a basic cremation, right? Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
Like, Have you had families like be like, I don't want this person, do whatever you want with them, we don't want the remains, we don't want anything to do with it, you know, we've kind of written them off in our life and we're going to write them off still? Like, have you had to deal with families like that?
Yes. So we do a scattering for them. So they sign off. There's like, of course, there's a fee for it. They sign off and then we scatter the remains. On our cemetery, we have a scattering like garden. So that's where we would scatter them, and they have to sign off that they don't want them, and we're okay to scatter them, and there's no takesy backsies.
You can't go to the
You have to try and piece them together.
Have you ever had families or individuals be like, I'm not signing it, I don't care what you do with grandpa, do whatever you want? Like,
No, I personally have not. No. Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Good to hear that, you know, because I do know like there are people who, you know, are say they've gone no contact with a family member, and that family member is like they're the only two left in the family, right? And they just don't want to deal with it. So, but that's good to know.
You could always say like, well, you know, if you don't want to pay for a scattering, you could take them home and put them in your cat litter box, like.
That's fantastic.
I'm sure it's happened.
It's got to.
Yeah. People will do some crazy things with the remains and ashes of people that they didn't like, that they're stuck with.
So true.
It's interesting. My ex-mother-in-law, she was terrified to have the remains of her father in her home. She wouldn't even hold it. She made her sister take them and put it in the closet. I'm like, okay.
I can relate to that. Before I became a director, I did not want remains in my house. I was like, nope, they're not coming in the house. Even like remains of pets and things. And then since now, like I've worked in the industry, I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. It's just their shell of their body. That's it. So that changed for me too.
Well, the reason Rachel was laughing about the people who have forgotten, because I kind of was under the impression that the lady was saying, you know, we have all these remains and they're just here, and then after so long, we just dump them in the garbage and rinse out the thing, which is not the case, people. But I was like, I'll take them. It's like, I'll give them a good home. I've got a space, because I feel awful. I'm like, these poor people are hanging out. And she's like, okay, psycho, that's not how it works. You can't do that.
Afterlife adoption.
Yeah. But I was, because there are quite a few people who are in that boat. So they have their loved ones cremated, and then they're like, I don't want the remains. So I'm starting an adoption agency. No, I'm just kidding. But it's true how many people are kind of like, I don't want this in my home.
It's true. So we have to technically hold remains for a year. Then if they're unclaimed, like nobody comes back for them. After the year, we call them like 3 or 4 times. And then on the initial contract, it does say you have a year to collect. And if you don't, the $350 deposit that you put down is ours now. And we will scatter them for you. But it has to be after a year, and you have to have X amount of attempts on calling the person to be like, come get your person, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what about, this is a legitimate question I'm asking, but it's going to be like, oh God, what are you talking about? So obviously, there will be casket displays and things like that. After a while, some of them obviously get old and fall apart. What do you do with your old caskets? Where do they go? What happens with them?
To the
dump?
So actually,
can people take them?
Actually, let me just, first of all, so we use the caskets in display. So if somebody comes in and they wanted a viscerum casket and we couldn't get one in time, we would use the display one. So they do get like refurbished a lot, but we have had like ship-ins where there's like 2 caskets, right? So one of the caskets has to go to the dump, and then the other one, you don't want those though, because they like the chemical smell and all of those things. Like you really don't want a casket that somebody's been in, but they do. They go to the dump.
If you knew Kaz.
Exactly.
So my suggestion to you would be like, start knocking on funeral home doors and be like, hey, if you ever have a casket you want to get rid of.
So I can see this is going to be our next adventure.
Exactly. So how do I proposition my boyfriend to borrow his truck?
Listen, I have a truck too, so.
That's true. That's true. His is a little bigger though, as we discovered.
Yes.
That's good to know. I wasn't sure if there were like rules around it.
No,
Obviously,
they just go right to the dump. Like that's what I have seen. So
what a shame.
Yeah.
Now the wheels are turning. I know what I'm doing this weekend. I love it's not for morbid reasons. Like I just really love the idea of the industry and caskets and all that beautiful stuff.
People will make things out of caskets. Like they'll take the lid off of shelves, right?
Yeah.
Or they'll like have it in their garden, and people do crazy things with them.
Well, so, Heather and Aaron, who live in the old funeral home in Dresden, they made a casket into like a bar.
Yeah, there's lots of cool things.
They put it on the body lift, so it rises between floors, with their basement and their upper floor. It's actually really cool. But yeah, they just loaded it up full of booze bottles, and it just goes up and down.
I did because I'm also an ordained minister. I did a wedding, and the wedding was very like goth, and they had a casket, and in the casket was all bottles and drinks and things. So it happens.
Amazing.
Yeah, it happens.
Well, I'm happy to know I could potentially
get yourself a couple caskets.
Exactly. Load them up, boys.
Saving things from the dump.
Take them all.
Exactly. And repurposing it.
Reuse, recycle.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this is so great.
I saw the funniest thing this morning. It was so perfect for this. It was, so we're in this whole era right now where we were talking earlier where there's the misconception that bodies like do the funky chicken and stuff. And it was this whole thing about how when a body's in the cremation chamber, I guess, the gases build and rise, so it will sit up and move and flop around, and people think the person's alive. And I'm like, who comes up with this stuff? Like, what?
No, they don't. They don't sit up. They don't do any of that. I have seen the cream, it open, and the body may be positioned a little bit different, but it's not because of like they're sitting up or they're like dancing around in there. It's not like that at all. I think it's just really the way whatever burns down, right? Your body is obviously going to shift if like something goes before whatever's supporting the other part of you, right?
Of course.
So of course you're talking about that, and the first thing I think of, bacon. Bacon does not look the same when you cook it in the oven.
Yeah.
Right? So and yeah, so just for anybody who needed a visual out there, I'm glad I provided you one.
Great. But now I want bacon.
Anyways, people with metal parts in their body, so joints, pins. I know for a fact, obviously, those don't burn.
They do not.
Don't melt. So, do you have a large bucket of a collection of them?
Yes. So
now, when you get that, do you take it to scrap metal? Right?
people come pick it up. People come pick it up. Yeah.
Do family members actually ask for pieces back?
No, I have never had anybody say, "Can I have the kneecap of, the metal kneecap or whatever?" No, I haven't.
Okay.
It's the same with like one of my things that jewelry, right? It goes with it unless it's like real gold that will melt down. And sometimes it doesn't melt down. It gets thrown out. Like it gets separated, right? So I always say just put that ring in the remains afterwards. Because then you have it. It's there, it's with the person.
Not like a little flat piece of whatever that's like molten rock.
Yeah. And you can't cremate glass or plastic, those sort of things. Yeah. Because it will ball up and then half of the remains go with it. It gets thrown out. So, yeah. And pacemakers have to come out. Otherwise, they make a great big banging. Like
I was gonna say, have you ever had that happen?
It's so terrible.
Explodes.
It sounds like a gunshot goes off, and it's terrible. But it also can damage the retort.
Right.
So, yeah, you have to be careful with that.
Oh my gosh.
What about implants? Like boobs and bums, do they just blow up or do they have to come out?
No, they just go. They just disintegrate.
Okay.
You can't take them with you.
They don't explode. Yeah. My sister had great double D's. Could I get those before she goes?
You know what?
Money.
Maybe up here I wouldn't see people doing that, but I could definitely see people in the States doing it. Same with like the metal hip replacements and all that kind of stuff. I could see, and I'm pretty sure this has happened. This is probably why I'm thinking of it. People asking for it back so it can be reused.
I don't know if it could be reused because it does get charred. So you would really have to clean that to use it again because it does get quite charred.
I'm sure people have done it.
Maybe the States is crazy. I've read about funeral home that they were saying they were cremating bodies or they were burying bodies and they were still in the home. And
wasn't that the one in Colorado where they're stacking them in the basement because
and there was a crawl space in the ceiling where they had babies up there. I learned this in school and I was crying, what the heck? Even in the hearse, they had bodies.
We definitely have some higher standards up here, which, you know what? I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff that you see coming from the States, you can definitely tell some of that industry is not regulated like it is up here. It's scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
we're very regulated here. We have the BAO oversees us and they come in all the time and do checks and that sort of thing. And you have to follow or they'll shut you down or you'll lose your license as a director. Yeah. And I take that stuff seriously. It's someone's loved one. It's someone's loved one and they were a person at one point. So you should treat them with the same respect you would treat your own person, right? That's how I've had it going in when I do and working with someone's loved one. I'm this is somebody loved this person, right?
I think we have the similar outlook when we go and on investigations when we're approaching and speaking to the potential spirits of that place. We're doing it out of respect and as if they were still here. We're not kicking in doors and being like, "What's up, ghosties?"
And I've done my research.
You don't do that.
And I've done my research to find out who these people were in life and who they were married to and who their children were and all of that kind of stuff, right? So for us to investigate that, we're going in with that knowledge and that understanding and all of that. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart when we're investigating, is because we are treating these people as what they were, people. We're giving them their stories back. We're giving them their identities back. We're talking about them as if, they're still around. We're not treating them like they are the low end in the spiritual world, like shadow people and demons and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. We're not. And so I would say that, as a funeral director, you do the same thing while you're, getting them ready for their final show, if you want to call it, or their journey, is that you're learning who they were in life, and you're hearing all those stories, and you're keeping that, very much present.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So quickly, when the person's cremated, where did the smoke and stuff go?
Exactly where you're
Just
pointing.
to the sky?
There are filters in there. There's like chambers and filters and things, but you see the smoke coming out. Yeah.
The reason I asked that, my friend and I, we were in, I think it was in Peterborough. They have a massive cemetery there, and they have a big cremation station. I don't know. And so we were walking, and all of a sudden I was like, what is going on right now? And it was getting kind of dusty. And she's like, oh my God, they're cremating someone and we're covered in their ashes. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works.
No, I don't think it would be. I don't know. It's not dust.
It wouldn't be their ashes, because their ashes has to be collected.
Yeah, the ashes don't go up. They don't go out. It's white smoke that comes out. If it's any other color, then there's a problem.
Right. Unless they were just like cleaning it out. I don't know.
Maybe. Clean the chimney out.
Yeah.
Blowing it up.
So, I mean, it must be cleaned out after every person.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Because otherwise you'll be like, oh shit. Like, whoops.
No mixing, commingling.
Again, it happens in the States.
Oh,
yeah.
It's the States.
Right? So
each person that goes in has a tag, and everything gets cleaned out, and then the remains go into like a metal bucket. That tag goes with that bucket. Then that bucket goes to the processing room, and then the tag is with that loved one the entire time. So, and then labels are made from that tag, boxes, and all of the things. So, and the machine is like brushed out completely and reused again. Same with the machines, right? Yeah.
Every person I've spoken to in this industry is the same as you, Janet, in the sense that when you speak of it, you do it in such a loving way. It's like you really, truly value what you're doing and the step of it, and you're making sure people understand this isn't just a job they're just shoved in and like a pizza and then they come out type thing. Like it's an art from the beginning to the end. And I would hope that people listening understand that it's not some crude or morbid thing. It's actually this beautiful process that kind of just encapsulates the end of that person's moment on earth and then wherever they go from there. But everyone seems to have that same compassion and passion for their job as you do. And I think I would hope more people understand that.
I hope
that
so.
it's a beautiful process if you look at it that way.
Absolutely. And for those that, get jaded after being in the service for so many years, because it is hard and it is draining mentally and physically. And, I think that most people know when it's time for them to move on. Right. Because
and I'm sure your burnout rate is super high.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially because like you're just dealing with everything that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
But you have to deal with, right? Like
the nightmares, the grieving families that are like, fighting or crying and, blaming you because something went wrong when you can't help it, or, it's a lot that people don't actually realize. It's mentally draining.
Yeah. For sure.
Wow.
And now my dog is going to be next on this list because she wants outside now. She waited this long, but now she's like, no, my turn. My turn.
Hello, don't forget me.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, well, with that, we'll end it on this note. We've been talking for like an hour, so that's amazing.
I know. I could keep talking, but we
know,
should probably let you go.
This was absolutely fun. Thank you so much for
thank you.
me.
You're very
thank
welcome.
You.
We will probably have you back on to talk about other things in the future.
100%.
Anytime. Anytime.
Hey, we should do a field trip, Kaz.
Exactly.
You should come to my cemetery and the historical chapel. It is fascinating.
Ooh.
Done.
I know where it is, so
I think you're right.
And maybe pick up a casket on the way home as a souvenir.
We'll let you know when you're coming, just in case.
Exactly. Keep some on tap for me.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Janet, again, and we will talk soon. And yeah, so if anybody has any questions about funeral planning or even the death care industry, send them to us. We'll forward them to Janet, and yeah, we'll have her answer. And because we won't be able to.
Exactly.
But but any questions, feel free to send them our way, and we will forward them off to Janet. And we will talk soon. Thanks again, Janet. And
thank you so much.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
All right, everyone. And that's another episode of Paranormal. Next week's episode is, oh crap, what is this week's episode?
It's the psychology of a haunting.
Oh, great. We're going to dig deep into your brain. Because the mind's like, nope. Nope, not dealing with it. So you're gonna hear all those wonderful theories, and yeah,
why people are weird like us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Anyways, have a great week, everyone, and just remember, I'm gonna say what I always used to say for the team: what you may be seeking you.
Oh,
yeah, I know, pretty good, eh? But anyways, have a great week, everyone.
Bye.